Holy smash hits! This is Flight Check, Season 2, Episode 37, with a new kind of episode coming out for you with the Darth of League News. That's a nice word. Dearth. The Darth of League News this past week. We're here to talk
That's a new
about
one.
the most important things that have occurred this week in the FlyQuest world, and that is the Smash Brothers Melee scene and all the craziness that has been going on there. My name, as always, is Sandy Toes. To my left and my extra left are my fellow hosts, Noxwar and Curly Double Q. Fellas, weird week for Melee. Weird week for the Smash scene in general. I know
It's
there's a
been very
lot
smashed.
of pain and hot tempers and frustration, and much of it, justified. And we're going to talk about it from our perspective, of course, which is, to be fair, a little more on the limited side, but I think we will do our best that we can, and maybe our outside perspective might have something to offer. So, Nox, maybe you could go over for those who are unaware what kind of went down with the event, the Smash World Tour event, Panda, Nintendo, and everything, assuming that you are kind of like up to date on everything. So,
Pretty much am, yeah.
all right, well, why don't
Um,
you kick us off then?
Keeping it as a very brief synopsis, something that anyone getting into the Smash scene has to understand is that typically Smash tournaments are very grassroots. It's not done with the permission of Nintendo. It's like it's its own individual thing. And a lot of times Nintendo has been known to cancel these events if they're not actually officially licensed by Nintendo. So that's just kind of the history of how these tournaments run. So there is a organization by the name of Smash World Tour who, for the past year or so, has been trying to work on getting a license to run a actual official circuit and tournament with Nintendo. Um, Along with that, there is another organization by the name of Panda who's been in Smash for quite a while as well, who did get a license with Nintendo. And so over the past however many months, basically, Smash World Tour was working with Nintendo to get this license going because Nintendo is very protective of their IP and they have very specific requirements of what needs to be done to host a tournament. And so while this was happening, Panda's CEO, Dr. Allen, I don't know his full name, basically was going around to other tournament organizers and kind of insinuating like, hey, if you don't sign with our tournament or our organization, basically you're going to get shut down. Stuff like that. And kept saying that over and over again that Smash World Tour was not going to happen. And so, not that Dr. Allen had any power over like anyone getting shut down, but it seemed to be like he had insider knowledge. And so it's crappy on two fronts, right? It's crappy on the sense that what ended up happening was Smash World Tour got a takedown notice saying that they were no longer allowed to run their circuit anymore Thanksgiving night. And so because of that, Smash World Tour is no longer hosting their end of the year tournament. This was supposed to be like this huge, not like pretty much the equivalent to Worlds if you were to like liken it to League, right? Like this was supposed to be their big tournament at the end of the year. And so basically they're no longer doing this tournament because Nintendo said we're no longer giving you a license. And so a lot of this has to kind of come back to Nintendo and how protective they are of their IP. And then there's a lot of shady business going on with Dr. Allen, who was like threatening other tournament organizers throughout the whole year, as well as kind of shutting down Smash World Tour, saying, hey, if you go sign with them, you're not allowed to sign with us. And there's more details than just that, but like long story short is Nintendo was continuing to be Nintendo and not licensing their tournaments, even though everything was pointing towards like, hey, this is a deal that should work out. And then Panda being kind of crappy and like scaring people off. And so basically what ended up happening was this was announced, all this drama like kind of got exploded. All these players and staff members of Panda are like dropping the org and they're now free agents, which in the Smash scene is very, very scary because there's not a lot of money in the Smash scene. So these people are kind of like out on their own. So yeah, long story short, basically some bad stuff happened in the Smash scene, and there's cool people like Ludwig who are currently trying to make it better by hosting their own end of the year tournament, and there's lots of supportive people in the tournament realm and area who are just trying to make sure Smash scene still continues on. And so that's kind of what we were going to discuss a little bit further tonight.
Yeah. And obviously, really tough situation for all the players who put in so much time, effort, and their own money to go to a lot of these Smash World Tour events that were leading up to that final tournament. And then obviously the organizers themselves who got completely blindsided by this. And it's interesting to me, Curly, that it's tough sometimes in the esports scene. Very rarely do you see something occur and almost everybody in that scene feels a particular way about it. Uh-oh, Curly just froze as soon as I asked him that question. So maybe Nox, you're gonna have to take this question.
Okay.
So
Curly was like, I really don't know anything about Smash. I can't
Curly was
this.
like, I'm out. You rarely see almost everybody agree that something was bad. Oh, Curly's back. Excellent. He can take this.
Yes, hello.
Okay, there we go. Cool.
I do need to
you can't answer this.
It is the most awkward time for...
yeah. So it's remarkable to me that I have not seen, I don't think, a single person try to defend Panda or Nintendo. Now, not defending Nintendo is pretty common, I think, in the Smash scene. I think it's pretty... But Panda, I think, was a good name in the community for a long time. So, Curly, from your perspective, it's just, how do you feel about just the fact that everyone's like, yeah, Panda sucks now? And
I mean,
that's so strange to me.
First thing is, like, this, since I've paid attention to any esports scene ever, this has got to be one of the weirdest things I've ever witnessed. Because, like, a whole tournament shut down out of nowhere, and then, like, kind of the collapse of an organization's, like, public image all at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's insane.
Yeah.
But, like, after refreshing myself on the articles before everything, like, when you see the claims from Beyond the Summit, who run Smash World Tour, from their open letter and all the details they give and everything they talk about that happened, and then the very weak, empty response from Panda, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. And it's like, it's also interesting to me. I find it kind of funny how this happens the same year as the Carlos Andrew Tate drama that got him removed, because this also resulted in the removal of a CEO. So really feeling out there for the PR teams in the esports scenes this year, because they got some unexpected tests. But yeah, I do think something that's really nice actually is it shows how tight knit the Smash community actually is as a fandom. Because it's like, I will say it ultimately does kind of exist to me in its own kind of bubble. It's not always as well publicized as something like League or Valorant, but it is very solid. And like, if something happens, there's a lot of people standing together. And actually, one of my favorite things was a passive aggressive tweet from, I don't remember who it was, but I think it's someone either who's active in the Smash scene or works at Beyond the Summit. And it's a picture at the most recent Beyond the Summit sponsored event of all the players on stage taping their group photo. And it's kind of like subtweeting Alan, who, like, in his very weak step down tweet was like saying BTS puts the community at risk. He's like really risking the community here with everyone, you know, on stage. Good. So it's, I think stuff like this is part of why they're able to be banded together and just be like, yeah, Panda messed up, because there is so much solidarity compared to some other esports scenes where, like, I'll be honest, League of Legends, Valorant, a lot of infighting.
Yeah.
Whereas in Smash, it's like you get the casual every once in a while. People are like, hey, HBox needs to settle down. And then they move on and like, yeah, Mango's a good guy.
Well, and,
you know, it's...
And even the people who are like, oh, HBox needs to settle down, there's as many people who are then like, no, it's just competition, and he's, you know, he's pumped and he's popping off. Like, this is... And I actually, I was at work today when the news broke about Panda's CEO being removed. So I actually didn't know that until literally just now, and I went to Google. It's funny. I will note. It's funny. I Googled Panda CEO, and all the news came up. But then also I was suggested the Wikipedia article for the CEO of Panda Express. Two very different things. So just make sure you delineate when you're looking.
However,
Panda
some
Global
Panda
News.
employees might start working at Panda Express.
It's not a bad point. But yeah, a massive roster walkout. I think I saw the number was 10 of the 17 personalities that were signed to Panda have now resigned. And that was as of like 10, 12 hours ago.
One of the most notable being IBDW, who is one of JMOOK's reoccurring doubles partners, which very interesting to have him as a free agent. Just gonna put that out there.
I smell a fresh signing in the future.
Get on that, please. Fly BDW flows off the tongue so well. We
really
already
does.
know that him and JMOOK play together really, really, really well. Please, please
really
pull the right strings. Write the contract. Put in.
Just send it. Just tweet the.
Yeah, just send.
Tweet the.
Just go for it.
GIF. Just right now. Just tweet it right now. So crazy week for the Smash scene. Now, there's been some good responses from the community. I believe Ludwig, noted now YouTuber, YouTube streamer, and esports / content creator mogul, is putting on his own tournament, and with a fairly large prize pool. Let me pull up his Twitter.
I think it was $25,000 for Ultimate and $25,000 for Melee. I believe is what it was.
I want to find what he.
I also loved because it was very sassy, and he made it a point to put the tournament on the same day and date as Panda's tournament.
Yes.
Just to try and make sure he stole all the viewers and competition. And so I thought that was a very wonderfully petty move. I thought it was great.
No, it's great. So yeah, 8, calling it the Scuffed World Tour. And the 8 highest placing Smash World Tour competitors.
So I want to... He did confirm he's actually upping it to 16 now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's fantastic. I don't know. Were Kodorin...
I believe JMOOK was ranked 9th and Kodorin was ranked 11th.
Okay,
in the list that I saw on Smash, on the Smash Bros subreddit.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's really, really good. I didn't see that he had upped the number to 16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was no official tweets about it, but it was apparently when he was streaming, he mentioned he's going to officially up it, and then I saw that particular thing on a link in the Smash Bros subreddit, and then I saw JMOOK at number 9 and Kodorin at like number 11, something along those lines.
So
that's fantastic. So FlyQuest will have a presence at the Scuffed World Tour. That's December 18th.
2 Sundays from now.
2 Sundays from now, yes. I didn't check what time it's starting at, but you can go to...
I do want to add one thing for Kodorin, though.
Yes.
He did tweet out, I want to say it was like 2 days ago. Basically, there is I cannot remember his name right now. I feel really bad. But there is a Japanese Marth player who has not had a single tournament here in the U.S. And basically, Kodorin tweeted out saying, hey, I would like to give my spot to this player because he deserves to be here and playing on U.S. soil at least once this year. And I saw that guy even replied and was like, "Oh my God, you're awesome! Thank you."
That's absolutely incredible. Like, that is to be willing to give up not only like the chance to be seen in that kind of tournament, but also just the money itself. That's just an incredibly wholesome move from Kodorin, and hopefully more people will pick up on that and talk about it for sure.
Okay, I found In-Gen Melee is
values.
Yeah, InGen Melee is the Japanese player, basically. And word for word, I'm willing to give up my spot at the Ludwig event to InGen Melee. A promising young Japanese Marth player needs this more than I ever need, as this would be his only U.S. event this year, I believe.
Dang.
Good guy, Kadoran.
Yeah, good guy, Kudoran. I want to note that Nate ID said in the chat, 22 out of 29 of the contestants for the Panda Cups tournament, which I'm assuming he means like the Panda Cups final, have dropped. They have dropped out of it at this point, that's pretty crazy.
So you're going to get no content.
Well, and I saw when Panda also, I don't know if they postponed or canceled. I forget exactly which one it was. But basically, they said we're not holding the final anymore. We're just gonna probably a postponement. But I mean, this is having massive repercussions across the community because these two events, both the Smash World Tour and this Panda Cups tournament, were kind of like the culmination of the year for Smash. And Melee wasn't at EVO this year, I believe. So, dropped off of one of the biggest fighting game stages. I think Ultimate still was. Melee was not. So it's a pretty huge deal that both of these tournaments now are done. And I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Will this get Nintendo's attention? Not only, they denied the license to Smash World Tour, but now the organization that actually they gave the license to, the CEO has resigned, and the org is saying, all right, we're not even going to hold this final anymore. My concern is, it took so long for Nintendo to actually, partner up with the Smash scene. Is this going to scare them off? And basically they'll say, see, we told you so, and we're never going to link up with the grassroots scene ever again. In fact, we're out completely. I mean, is that something people should be worried about? What do you guys think?
So, any chance... do either of you listen to Mogul Mail, Ludwig's little, kind of news style thing on YouTube at all?
I do not. I do not have time.
So, basically, he did a Smash-related one, right? Going over this topic. And basically what he was saying at the end of it was a lot of tournament organizers are actually kind of nervous right now because something that was revealed in the letters between Smash World Tour and Nintendo after they got shut down that night of Thanksgiving, basically one of the lines in it was saying that it is no longer going to be the case that tournament organizers can go on without having a license. That is a time of the past. Because before, that's what I was saying at the beginning of the show, was that in the past, grassroots organizers and Nintendo just kind of stayed in their own separate lanes, and they just didn't bother each other. It was like, okay, you run your tournaments, and Nintendo will just kind of look the other way as long as you're not doing something with the IP that you should not be doing. If it's just straight up Melee, it's fine. But anything else, we're going to shut you down. And even then, in the past, Melee has or Nintendo has gone and shut them down. So now what people are scared of is because of that line in the Smash World Tour shutdown, people are afraid that Nintendo is going to start cracking down on tournament organizers and saying, you are no longer allowed to stream this because you don't have a license with us. But then people are terrified. It's you don't hand out license. There's one current organization that has a license, and that organization was kind of shitty. So everyone's kind of what's going to happen? So something that Ludwig said in his show Mogul Mail, and I would highly recommend everyone go doing it because he recaps everything that's happened far better than I have or any of us have. Basically, he says, I'm going to host this tournament, the Scuffed World Tour. And basically, if I end up getting shut down and they sue me because I was streaming their services without permission, well, then it'll make for an interesting story at least. And then we'll kind of figure out what the Melee scene is going to go from there. So yeah. I think, honestly, there's a lot of narratives going on, not just from players and gameplay perspective, but also just what is the actual bubble of Melee going to look like after December 18th? Is Nintendo going to shut it down? And basically it's oh, you really do have to have a license? And then the question becomes, okay, well, how easy is it going to become a license? Because from the sounds of it, it sounds like an absolute pain to try and get one. Is Nintendo going to make it easier? everything's up in the air. You just don't know.
Yeah, and one thing I am confident in is that the Melee scene will survive. To quote Jeff Goldblum, I forget the name of his character in Jurassic Park, but life finds a way.
Yeah.
And
there it is.
And there it is. I don't think Melee is going away by any means. Thank you, Roadroller. It's Ian Malcolm. Melee is not going away by any means. I don't think anyone needs to worry about that. It always has found a way to bounce back and continues to just get better and better in terms of both the gameplay and the viewership is still like getting better from what I understand. So yeah,
I was gonna say on the topic of saving or like Melee not going away. I only mention this because Mango, who just won Main Stage 2022 last night, in his winner's interview, they were asking about kind of the whole situation, and Mango and his lovable like ability to just get the message across, even though his vocabulary is never the best. Basically was saying like, man, it doesn't matter. Me and Zane could be behind a 7-Eleven playing on our crappy 2002 GameCube with a CRTV and playing for $25. It doesn't matter. Melee will continue on no matter where it is or what's happening. We don't need the stage. We don't need the money. Like, we'll be playing each other no matter what, and that's all that matters to us is we're playing each other and we're having a good time, and that's how Melee will survive. It doesn't matter the glory of it all.
Right. No, yeah, I think Melee is not going away anytime soon. Never fear, Melee fans. It will continue. Curly, any final thoughts before we move on to FlyQuest's presence in Melee?
I mean, you mentioned like how Nintendo might handle the foreseeable future, and for me, like, I don't know how Nintendo works, but from what I wonder is like what strong arming the Melee scene does for them. Like having a popular tournament circuit and a positive exposure of your game. I fail to see where the harm is and what like being like, hey, you can't do this and you need this license. Like it doesn't do anything for them. So ultimately, I think they're kind of hurting themselves and their image by doing something like this. And they need to take a step back. It's like, it's strange because then also like if you try to like shut down what you're talking about, the streaming's getting better, the competition's getting better. If you try to shut down something that's growing and well publicized, you kind of hurt yourself from having a future generation of players. Because if you stop seeing Smash Melee, now it's just going to be people like it's all going to be word of mouth, and like it's just going to be like, all right, maybe my uncle is this real happens to be Mango, and he puts a GameCube controller in my hand, and so I get to know what it's like to play competitive Smash.
Yeah.
But not everyone's going to have Uncle Mango to give them a GameCube controller for the 10th birthday, you know? Right, like, you're not going to have that everywhere. So it's just strange. And then, like, even I see Road saying they're not making money, can't buy new copies of Melee. So what? Like, but if people want to play Melee, they're also going to want to play Ultimate because it's got more characters. Like, yes, I know some Melee people are, like, Melee only. But, like, Smash is Smash is Smash is Smash is Smash. If you go over to someone's house and they're like, hey, you want to play Smash? You're going to pick up a damn controller. It's just what it is. So by trying to shut down like something that might not make you as much money, it's very stupid. And like, it's just illogical to me. That's all.
Yeah. Dang. I'd love to clip that one out. That was fantastic.
It was a great little tangent. I love that.
That was absolutely
beautiful.
Thank you. That was really good. All right. Let's start off with Mr. Posture Check himself. JMOOK's doubles dominance. We're gonna focus mainly on some of the. He's been great at in singles as well, but I do want to talk about. We were talking about IBDW recently. They've now, in the last two doubles events that they've entered, JMOOK and IBDW, first place in both. So at the Big House 10, that was back in October, and Apex 2022, they beat AMSA and Axe in the...
That's a pretty good matchup, too.
It is a very good matchup. They beat them in Grand Finals. Pulling up those... and they did not drop a set. So... Yeah, they were undefeated all the way through. They did drop, some games, but did not drop a single set on their way to winning at Apex. And they did lose when they were at Big House. They did drop 3-1 to Ginger and Fat Goku, but ended up making it back through. They took down AMSA again. He was partnered up with Slug at the time in Losers Semis. Then they won Losers Finals, and then they reset the bracket against Fat Goku and Ginger, beat them 3-1, and then 3-2 in the reset. So, some really strong performances from JMOOK and IBDW in doubles recently. Really want to highlight that. So that's been huge. And then... some good stuff for him. He has not had a, he's done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 events in the last 3 months. He hasn't done any in December yet, so I guess in October and November he did 5 events. Did not place lower than 7th in any of those events. He got 5th at Smash Summit 14. He took 5th at the Smash Invitational hosted by Ludwig. 7th at Big House 10, and then he just got 7th at Apex 2022, and that one had some really big names in it as well. You had Hungry Box there, Zane. He actually lost to AMSA in winners quarters. And then lost in losers round 1, top 8 to IBDW. So that's who he dropped to there. But still really good stuff. And Knox, I don't know if you've got anything you want to say about kind of his run of form recently, but it's been really strong.
No, I think in general, JMOOK has continued to impress both in doubles and in singles. I mean, consistently, like you look at like the people he drops out to, it is like the best of the best, right? And he's still competing with the best of the best himself. He is one of the best of the best. And that's just kind of what the nature of the Smash scene is. Like at any day or any tournament, just sometimes you're not up to snuff and you get knocked out a little early. It is what it is. And so I think more than anything, JMOOK is fun to watch because there's days where he can take first, like in frame 11 back in September. And then there's other times where, like Big House 11, he drops out, but it's just because he happened to run into Zane early on. So that's just the nature of these tournaments. So at the end of the day, I think he continues to look great, and I think he's going to continue to kick ass, and it's just fun to watch.
Yeah, totally. Curly, any thoughts there?
JMOOK's just really good, dude. I enjoy watching it. It always happens because whenever I actually get to watch Smash, like sit down and watch it, it's actually passively like in the middle of my D&D sessions on Sunday, where it's like the big combat round. So I'm like, all right, well, we've got like 10 baddies to go through before it's my turn. I know exactly what spell I'm going to use. Oh, wow. It's JMOOK playing Smash. And anytime I watch it, it's really, really good. And so glad to see his consistent performance. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more, like whatever circuits happen next year. And then like, since it sounds like he should be present at the Scuffed World Tour. Really looking forward to see those performances.
Definitely.
And see how many first places he can get.
Totally. All right. Kadoran. Also, a really strong performance at, what was it? At Main Stage 2022. Sorry. Typing things out here.
He almost beat Slug, dude. Did any of you catch that final? Game?
It was really. I mean, the 3-2. It's tough. But I remember, reading his tweets before the tournament, and he seemed so down on himself And I just want to really give him props for kind of rising up and rising above some of those frustrations that he was having. So that was just really good to see. And yeah, I mean, I think he said he was really struggling to stay focused and do well, and he got all the way to that top 8. I'm looking at the bracket now. I'm trying to see who he took down. He took down Aklo in losers round 2. I'm trying to see who he played in top 64 as well. He beat Axe in winners quarters in to get into top 16. So that was huge. Professor Pro in his pools. Let me see who he had in his pool. No one really of super note, but
this tournament was massive. I'm like looking at all the
this
pools
was
and stuff. Good lord,
there were almost 400 people in this tournament. So 7th place in a 400-person tournament. That's freaking huge. So absolutely fire.
I didn't even know you could have tournaments that big.
Yes, you can. Isn't that crazy? So just huge props to him for pushing through those struggles that he was having. And just a really great performance from him in a really difficult time. I mean, having to do that tournament while all this Panda news was going on, I'm sure was not easy. And
I'll say there's a little clip and FlyQuest tweeted it, but of him after I forget which match he won, but he turned around and he had a big free melee sign that he showed the crowd and everything.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I should have made that the picture that I tweeted on Twitter when I said we were going live. That's what it should have been.
Now hiring social media managers so that they are.
We'll post a job on Indeed, and then someone can apply for it.
Let's just poach Park Mom.
There we go.
I mean, what?
Easy. All right. Anything else we want to talk about for the Smash scene? And then I've got a couple quick hits for LOL esports news before it's going to be a shorter show tonight, and then we'll wrap up. Any final thoughts on Smash?
I think overall, I've really enjoyed FlyQuest's venture into Smash.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get to pay as much attention to it as much as I want, partially because I just don't really understand all the technicalities of the game, so it's hard for me to kind of it looks impressive, but it's like, man, I don't really know what they did half the time. So, but at the same time, though, I've really enjoyed the venture that this org has done with these players and how much hype they give them. Like, there's so much love for Doran and JMOOK every time FlyQuest tweets, and it's great. I love it. So, looking forward to seeing more of it in 2023.
Totally.
Another thing I love is by having Smash players, there's technically no downtime for FlyQuest content.
No,
true.
It's
LCS dry season. We've got Smash players still playing tournaments.
I mean, that's just the power of showcasing greatness. It really is. All right, moving forward to news and notes from around the global LOL esports system.
What else we got?
There's not a ton. Things I just want to talk about, mainly for some laughs and giggles, because I figure you guys might get a kick out of them. Immortals announced their Academy roster.
Oh, wow.
So that was that. But here's the thing I really want to talk about, because I don't think... This feels like it was something that only kind of came up... it actually, I believe it came... The rumor first came out after our show last week. But my boy, the Kindred Master himself, Piosik, over to Team Liquid. Now,
you just want to do DRX check.
I just wanted to check in on DRX. Now, DRX, let's be fair, they have fallen apart. All the players are gone, and it sucks because I probably would have followed Piosik to whatever team he was on, and now he's on Liquid, so I cannot root for him this year. So I'm probably just gonna stick with Death. Oh well. But you guys, I know, I've only done kind of my power rankings so far for LCS orgs. You guys have gone ahead and talked about player rankings. So your thoughts?
Oh boy! Oh man!
I know and I know there's some controversy here. So maybe real quick, let's talk about Piosik in the LCS and where we expect him to land in terms of junglers.
Let me pull up my always controversial power rankings because I have a mix of logic and just vibes, and so it always ends up very interesting. Oh man, okay. Wow.
See, you gotta do what I did, Curly, and just make two. I put my vibes one in the Namen Discord, and then I had my actual one in the Oracle's Elixir one.
There you go.
No. I like doing the balance of logic and vibes because I logic some of my players. Like some I'm like, yeah, this makes perfect sense, and then I always get that blob where I'm like, well, they're all kind of equal in my head, so which one just feels better, you know? And that's like actually kind of what happened with where Piosik ended up. It's just like between him, Closer, and Spica, I do feel them all about the same. Even Blabber actually. But then it's like, all right, just I don't know who has to go up, you know?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Anyway.
Oh boy.
Let's see if the stream survives though.
Just tell everyone to refresh.
It's back.
All right, we are back.
All right, we're
Sorry
back.
about that. I don't know what happened. Piosik landed a smite on me, on my internet, on my router. All right, where do you guys have Piosik ranked on your jungler rankings?
All right, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first, Nox?
You can go for it. I gotta pull mine up really quick.
Oh man! All right, so this is gonna be a little interesting. I dropped him in 6th place. Behind in order, from 5th to 1st, Closer, Spica, Blabber, Santorin, and topping the list is Inspired. Yeah.
All right.
So to get into it a little bit is no one was going to be first over Inspired. Being perfectly candid, to me, he is just this year the best jungler in the LCS. The consistent MVPs. Even if some people argue that maybe he shouldn't have gotten all of them because maybe someone else shined more, but it's just like, hey, he had a really good play. I will give that. But the fact is when EG looked its best, a lot of it was on the back of Inspired. And I really do think he's just one of the better junglers. Like he had his, oh shoot, I played on Rogue moments where he didn't do much. I will say that. But ultimately, highest performance for me. Santorin is the same exact thing for Team Liquid, where he's very consistent. He knows what he's doing jungle-wise. He knows what he wants to do. And if he gets himself a lead, he's going to keep it. And if he doesn't, he might flounder, but like for the most part, he's very stable. And I think over the past couple of years has been one of the most stable junglers and consistently top of his game, which is why I put him 2nd. Like I said earlier, though, when you get from Blabber, Spica, Closer, and Piosik, I view them all about equally. And it's just a matter of I had to put those like the millimeter differences to put them that way. So it's not like there's a big difference between all of them. It's just Blabber across the finish line a fraction of a second first. And I think it's partially coming from his really consistent performance during playoffs with Cloud9. And so there's probably a fair bit of recency bias with this, but I think there's a lot of recovery from his performance last year. Spica, I'm gonna be flat out. I've always underestimated him on TSM, and he actually was kind of more of a shining star on TSM, and one of the reasons they were able to find any success. And also, there's certainly a bit of FlyQuest bias with this as to why I probably put him up there. So I'm not gonna lie about that. I think it's just because I like to hype up the players we have. Closer he is one of the best junglers in the LCS. Like I said, it's another case of crossing the finish line first. And it's just he had some some of his slip up moments. I'm not sure if it was because of him or because of the champions he was given, but they were enough to put him below Spica. And then with Piosik, as much as I love him from a character standpoint, it has to go like you do have to admit that he was technically the weak point of DRX in finals at the very least. Losing smites to a Varus arrow. Now, granted, that's also just a League of Legends moment. Not just him missing smites, but like stuff like that where it's like crucial jungle skills that it's like maybe he was trying to do that. Maybe it is just a League of Legends moment, but he wasn't performing quite as much as some other junglers on the world stage, which is why even though he is really up there, given recent performances, I have to put him that, like I said, just that millimeter behind the other three.
Fair enough.
So it's like ever so marginal, and I hate having to put him that low. That's the one thing I hate when it comes to ranking stuff. It's like, all right, what's that tiny bit? But yeah,
absolutely.
That's why I have Piosik sixth place.
Makes sense. All right, great breakdown. Nox, your turn.
I have Piosik in fourth. Piosik, I mean, he's a good jungler. He struggled a little bit during the regular season of LCK, stepped it up in playoffs, and had a good group stage with some questionable moments and knockouts, but overall still solid. I mean, at the end of the day, the man's a world champion, right? He is a good jungler. That being said, though, because of his questionable moments while he was over in Korea, it's not an automatic first. It's like, and then you have to compare to the fact that NA's best role is jungle. Like, you have players like Blabber, Inspired, Spica, Closer, Santorin. Like, they're all already here. Those are all very good junglers. So I ended up putting him fourth behind Blabber, Inspired, and Spica, and just ahead of Closer. And even then, I think Closer could probably overtake that. The reason why I put Piosik in fourth is just because I think by the end of the season, I think that whole Korean-speaking roster is going to gel and is going to end up outperforming that of the 100 Thieves roster. I think up front, I think the mid-jungle duo of Closer Bjergsen is going to be better, whereas Harry Piosik, I think, is going to struggle a little bit in the beginning, but I think the long-term development of those two is going to be far better than Bjergsen Closer, I think.
Totally. Well, I have not done my player rankings, so I'm not going to bother with where I'm putting Piosik. Probably somewhere in that, 3 to 5 conversation, I think I would have to say, if I had to guess. All right, well, that is really all
Sandy's DRX corner moment.
Yeah, that was the DRX corner moment. Well, that's really all the news that's been... that's come out recently. I think TL announced their full roster, so there was that. They did announce some of their academy roster.
APA got a team, dude. I'm so happy.
Freaking huge.
Let's
go. So there's that. That was really cool. Rainover actually is coming over to TL as an assistant coach as well. That's really interesting. Whippo's becoming a content creator for them. King is moving over to EG Academy from C9 Academy. And I guess TSM announced their roster as well, but I mean, who really cares?
They did? Oh.
They did, yeah.
Another thing is not exactly LCS related, but I saw today that Avali May is running it looks like a 3-team tournament, and on Team Dragusi, which I love the name of, we have
on my show.
It's what it is. But on C9 Vienna's team, we have Philip in the top lane, Spica in the jungle, and Diamond as support. So 2 Fly players and 1 Fly alum.
Yes.
Repped on honestly, I think, stacked team. They're looking at the rest of the rosters. I don't see any reason why Team Dragosi should not run away with the title.
May that name never be uttered on this show again. All right. That's all we got.
I will be watching the streams so I can watch Captain Flowers say it and cringe.
Oh, yeah. That will be awful. All right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging through my internet getting smited by a world-class jungler and tuning into this episode of Flight Check Smash Hits. Like we said, Scuffed World Tour is December 18th, so that is in 2 Sundays from now. Let's hope we get a FlyQuest roster announcement this week, maybe an Academy announcement or some Academy leaks. That would be nice as well. So when that happens, you're going to want to be following us on Twitter for all of our instant reactions and thoughts. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at SantosDB, Nox at NoxWar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_QQ_. Make sure to get hype and hop into the Flight Check Discord as well, where all kinds of esports discussion, off-season rumors, and otherwise takes place. If you missed any part of the episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube and Twitch tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're watching that and would like to catch the show live, we do broadcast the episode usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Nox, did you get a package today by any chance?
I did.
Did you want to do that today, or did you want to wait?
No.
I think
we gotta save it for later.
Okay. All right.
We'll save it for later.
We'll hang on.
Because a certain individual wanted to be with us when we did open it. I don't think that individual.
Hold on. Let me do the weekly teaser for Flight Check real quick. Hold on. On the next episode of Flight Check,
Oh boy.
the gang has received a mysterious package from an ally? ? Let's see what's in the package next week.
Here is said package, by the way.
Careful, cover up your
It's
address
small.
so you don't get doxxed.
Nox is docs.
Nice.
We have no idea.
All right, watchers, you're not allowed to slow down the stream and screen capture his address. It's probably too blurry anyway for you to get a real idea.
I actually don't even know. Oh, it does. That's awkward.
Well, all right. On that note, it's time for us to go. Nox.
No, don't worry. The res is probably too low. It's fine.
Nox, any final plugs, notes, or shout-outs before we wrap up?
Shout out to KODO and JMOOK for killing it in Smash for the past couple weeks. Shout out to Ludwig for doing a very spontaneous last-minute tournament to make sure Smash can end on a good note for the last of the year. And the beg of. That's all I'll say. Certain people will know what that means.
That's all you got to say from what I was looking at. I was busy, but I kept checking in on that chat, and pretty fun.
All right, Curly. Anything from you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out 100 Talk Pod, who is going to be live in, I believe, about 40 minutes, ? It looks
Call
like
of Duty.
I think they are going to look into the LA Thieves. It's an LA Thieves episode, so for any of you CDL enjoyers, check it out. And I would also like to shout out Andrea/EdgyHoon, as she is known in certain discords, from NA Men, for making the wonderful Google Docs sheet that was able to help us do those power rankings. Because I don't think I could sit down and figure out how to navigate an Excel type program to make it do the things she did. So the fact that she took the time to figure it out and it looks pretty, kudos. Very, very much kudos.
He
and then also,
whiz when it comes to Excel.
in tandem, shout out to Arsh from NA Men for making that very publicized so that the rest of the LCS community can get access to it. It's very, that's one thing I really like about that bubble is they're like, hey, we like LCS, we like cool things. We're going to share it with everyone. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Big shout out there.
Solid. My shout out this week is going to us for all wearing glasses tonight. So that's pretty fun. I did enjoy that. Okay, thanks for being the contrarian here tonight, Curly, who has removed his glasses. And shout out to the Portugal national team because they take on. All right, cool. Looks like we're back. Anyway, shout out to the team.
Back to finish up.
Yeehaw. All right. That's it. I'm done before my internet decides to hate me forever. We'll be back next week. Maybe next week. Actually, I'm not sure. To see what's going on in the LOL esports and Smash Melee world. So for now, stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail. And we'll see you all very, very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Peace, y'all.